Another defensive tactic that the defense will use will be to rush everybody as hard as they can upfield, and this generally will happen when they sense an obvious passing down like 3rd and long, or they have some type of tendency that you're going to throw a pass. So I've simulated, once again, this is the center, the guard, the inside foot of the tackle. So if I drop back and I'm sitting in the middle of this pocket, which is 4 yards wide, 3 yards deep, and they're running up the field heavy to the top of my drop spot. Typically what a defensive coordinator might do is say, look, when that guy's in the gun and he takes his 3-step drop, he's going to be about 8 yards. So they'll line the defensive ends out wide, and they're coming to this point to get you off this spot, and they're pushing you up into the pocket. If that happens and everybody's up the field, I'm going to hitch up in the middle of the pocket where the safe spot is. So that's called avoid hitch. Both sides are coming up to my top of the drop, forcing me up to the middle. We're saying that our guards are able to fan everybody by, and we're pushing everybody outside this pocket. They've been taught to do that. So we're going to hitch up in the middle. But there's also times where one side or the other side has pressure and forces me to hitch left or right. So I'm catching the ball, back I go. Let's say that I get heavy pressure to my dominant side, and I've got to hitch up and throw left, because to avoid that sack or to avoid that pressure from my right, the safe spot is over to the left. Another instance, I might drop back and I feel this pressure coming from the backside. So then I'm going to have to hitch to the right and throw to the right. So in both those instances, the defense has used pass rush pressure. Consciously up the field in a pass rush down situation, or one side or the other they're bringing a heavy rush from, or it just so happens that the normal rush is overtaking our guard and our tackle. So we would have to hitch left, hitch right, or hitch up the middle. A pocket footwork that you do from a defensive tactic to respond to what the defensive pressure is. Let's take a look at some of our quarterbacks doing avoid hitch up the middle, avoid hitch to the left, and avoid hitch to the right.
This is the QB avoid hitch drill. And let me show you the whole drill being executed. What he's going to do is take a crossover, a balance step, then he's going to hitch up 1 step or shuffle up 1 step. Now remember, this particular footwork drill is to avoid a rush. So we would not do this if we were going to throw a route and use a hitch step as a timing mechanism. So let me show you why. So once again, he's learned how to do the crossover step, which is knee to knee. So knee to knee is his crossover step. Then he takes a balance step, which puts his foot outside the framework of his armpit. And that's absolutely where it should be, because when he hitches up, that step is going to go under his armpit. So you see now where that is, and that's where that should be, so he can push directly through his hip to throw the ball. His feet, if we were going to do a timing hitch step, meaning we're going to time his feet up with the route, so if he was going to throw a post, a corner, or a comeback, and we wanted him to take 1 hitch, we wouldn't want his feet to be that close, because watch how long it takes to get the front foot down. So you notice that I'll go back and show you where the front foot was. The front foot is here, and watch how long the stride is. And we know that the throwing motion can't start till the front foot hits, and that's because the hips can't rotate without the front foot being on the ground. So that's too long of a distance if we were going to throw the timing route, but that's not what this hitch is. This hitch is to avoid pressure up the field, either both sides or one side. So it's okay for him to get his feet that close, as long as now he accelerates, gets the foot down, and he gets the ball out. So this is 1 step hitch to avoid pressure on either side. or up the middle. Now I want to show you that you still have to hold him accountable for good mechanics. So you can see Donovan has a really nice posture, and he maintains that throughout the hitch motion. You'll notice that he stays nice and tall. And let me put the bones on so you can see that even more clearly. So you can see how as he comes up in this position right here in particular, notice how nice and tall his spine is. He's in a good position with his elbow to tuck quickly. See how his back arm, his elbow is armpit height, which is the safe position. The ball's over his bicep. So he's worked really hard on his mechanics, and now we're adding footwork movement to see if he can maintain his good mechanics. Once again, look at that nice tall posture. He's got a front knee bent. His elbow's leading the throw. You can't even see his left side. His 2 feet are on the ground. So he's doing a great job of his mechanics, and we have added footwork. Excellent release point. Elbows out in front, off his fingertips, knee is bent, 2 feet are on the ground. So we're gonna hold him accountable for doing all that and adding that footwork. Okay, I want to go back, let you watch his, in particular, watch his spine angle right down the middle of his body as he does this. And notice how nice and level his shoulders are, his eyes are level. He stays nice tall posture. So the only thing moving is his lower body. He takes a hitch step and off he throws it. Okay. I'm going to remove the bones, and I want you to watch it again. And notice this is going to be full speed, but it's not full speed for him because I want him to learn the movements at a slower speed. So we do it slow, and we do it slow a number of times till he's absolutely right with his steps and his throwing mechanics, and then we'll go faster. So this is avoid hitch drill to avoid pressure, both sides up the field or one side or the other pressure. And we're hitching up to avoid that pressure. Avoid hitch drill. This is avoid hitch drill. And I have 2 videos. One on the left is going to show you when I first taught this young man. And it's the same quarterback on the left as it is on the right. When I first taught him to do the hitch steps, he did it wrong on the left, and then by the end of that session he was doing it right, and then he went back and worked on it. And the next time I worked with him, you'll see the difference on the right hand side. So remember, we're doing these hitch steps to enable us to avoid rushes up the field, whether it's left, right, or both of them. So on the left, let's go through the steps that he takes and what he did wrong and how we want to fix it. So when he do this, he's going to take his crossover step. He's going to take his balance step, which puts his foot in a position to push off and to move forward. Now what we'd like him to do is we'd like him to take a step with his right foot somewhere here underneath his armpit, so he still maintains some width, because we know that when your feet are underneath your armpits, that's the best balance position to get the ball out quickly and for hip rotation acceleration. Okay, so what he does is he takes a step with this left foot first, and that's not the right way to move up into the pocket quickly and efficiently. So this left foot step is what we had to eliminate. And so then after he takes his left foot step, you'll see he takes his right foot step here. Now, this is a little closer than we would like on a normal hitch, but remember, he's hitching up to avoid a rush. So it's okay to kind of get your feet close together as long as they move quickly, because when they're this close together, watch how long it takes for him to get his front foot down. That stride is way too long. In other words, not because he can't transfer his weight and get his posture and his balance back over top of his foot here, ball of his foot, but because of the timing it just takes to do that. Okay, so we would like him to keep that apart a little bit, but once again, in this particular part, we're not worried about a timing of throwing a route. We're worried about getting away from the rush and finding an open guy. So as you see here, he still gets to transfer his weight, and he has his knee bent, his elbows tucked. This elbow is armpit height for safety. The ball's behind his head for hip shoulder separation, and he has a nice tall posture, and he's in good balance. 2 feet are going to be on the ground, and then he's going to lead with his elbow, let the ball go out in front of him, and he has a nice little lean so that his shoulders, knees, and toes are lined up. So even though he did the wrong steps, he still got to a really good throwing position. Arms fully extended, thumbs pointing down, so he pronated. And so he got to wrong steps, but he got to a good throwing position. So what that tells us is he's worked hard on his mechanics, and all we have to do is fix the footwork in this particular case. All right. So let's go to the other side and watch after he had worked some on his own. He takes his step backwards, takes his crossover step. He's going to take his balance step. There's his balance step. Now what's happening is people are rushing up the field. So he's going to hitch up or shuffle up. Once again, you see his feet are a little close together. Now in this particular instance is when he came back and I saw him doing the footwork right. I told him I wanted him to hitch up twice. And I'll do this in order to assess can they maintain balance and posture as they hitch up twice. And what you're going to see here when I go back and slow it down is you're going to see how well he can maintain his balance and posture. In fact, I'm going to turn the bones on so you can see this is his spine angle right here. And then you can see his throwing motion. So here comes his feet. He's going to hitch up, and notice that he has a good balance and good posture. He hitches up twice. Foot hits the ground. Notice how nice and tall his posture is and his spine. He gets to a really good throwing position. Left arm tucked, elbow shoulder pit height, front knee bent, eyes straight ahead, ball's behind his head. And then as he lets it go, elbow leads the throw, ball's let go out in front, and his shoulders, knees, and toes are lined up. So this is a really good job of keeping his balance and posture as he went through the throwing motion and adding the hitch steps. So I'll show you that one more time. Hitch, hitch, and throw it. So I do the 2 hitches in order to check his balance and his posture, and it also kind of acts as a strengthening technique for hitching up in the pocket. So hitching 2 times gives him the distance that he needs to avoid any upfield rushers, and it also makes him have to hold his upper body stable longer. So let's watch the one on the left with the wrong steps, and I'm going to put the bones on it. Crossover balance, left foot, right foot, throw it, takes too long. And then let's watch the one on the right where he shuffles up twice and he does both steps correct. So this is avoid hitch drill, and we're working up in the pocket, middle, left, or right to avoid upfield rushers.